Get rich once. So one of my mentors was an ex-Goldman Sachs employee. One of his mentors at Goldman Sachs told him you should only have to get rich once. And I heard that saying and it's really stuck with me, is if you play the game right, you should only have to play it once. And then after that, you should be playing with house money the whole time and never take bets that you would lose the farm over. In other words, never bet the empire on a pot of gold. But this is the very first passage in $100 million offers. Outsized returns often come from betting against conventional wisdom, and conventional wisdom is usually right. Given a 10% chance of 100 times payoff, you should take that bet every time, for you're still going to be wrong 9 times out of 10. We all know that if you swing for the fences, you're going to strike out a lot, but you're also going to hit some home runs. The difference between baseball and business, however, is that baseball has a truncated outcome distribution. When you swing, no matter how well you connect with the ball, the most runs you can get is 4. In business, every once in a while, when you step up to the plate, you can score 1,000 runs. This long-tail distribution of returns is why it's important to be bold. Big winners pay for so many experiments. That's from Jeff Bezos. So if you do hit it out of the park, you shouldn't want to have to bet everything on it again to keep staying rich. When you get that one winning bet or that one winning ball that comes and you knock it out of the park, you should be able to win for good. And so that's why one of my favorite sayings when it comes to wealth building is that fortunes are created through taking huge risks with small amounts of money. But fortunes are preserved by taking small risks with lots of money. So we talked about why you should only have to get rich once, and if you are going to swing for the fences, you still need to be very sure that once you hit it, you never bet it all on black again. Which then leads us actually to our next one, people. So I'm going to explain a concept called the quad marketing calendar. All right. So you think about this as internal and external to your business. Now you've got prospects on this side, we got customers, candidates, you got employees. And so you actually need to be marketing in all 4 directions at all times. Most people spend all their time advertising here. They say, okay, I'm gonna spend all my resources advertising to get prospects. And then they convert those prospects over this money line and they turn those prospects into customers. But the problem is, if you only advertise in this direction, who's gonna deliver the thing to these customers? Well, you need employees, which means that you also need to be advertising to get candidates to turn into employees. And so this is ultimately the dual-sided nature of advertising, because as you grow the left side, you need to also grow the right side. If you want to continue to get these customers to buy again and again and again, then we also need to advertise in this direction to the customers to get them to buy again and again. So we advertise to turn prospects into customers. We advertise to get customers to become repeat customers. We advertise to candidates to turn them into employees, and then we advertise to employees to get them more engaged and to keep them engaged and keep educating them so they can ascend up and provide even more value to our customers, ultimately to the enterprise value of the company. So if you ever feel like you're a genius with 1,000 hands, it usually means that you're really good at advertising and turning prospects into customers, right? But you're really bad at turning candidates into employees and then training employees to get to become even better. And so the more you advertise here, the more you feel like you have to do because you have no one else helping you out. So let's say we've got our genius scenario, we've got an enterprise scenario. So if you're the genius with 1,000 hands, right? And you're making $5 million top line and $2 million of income. Every year, you make $2 million, which adds $1 million after taxes to your net worth. This is a lot like before, right? But here's the difference between the example I'm going to explain now and what I was talking about before. In this instance, you add the $1 million to your business, but you also have a probably $10 million asset as business if this thing truly runs value. EV is short for enterprise value. So there is no enterprise value here because it's just a genius with 1,000 hands. You're just doing with 1,000 helpers. Here, you own something that provides value to a group of customers that you can sell to somebody else, because if you require no work in order to provide the value, it means it will require someone else to do no work to provide the value, which means it becomes a more valuable asset. And so if I took a business from genius with 1,000 hands, making $2 million a year, and I didn't increase the revenue, and I didn't even increase the profit, but I simply removed the genius and make the structure of the business genius, the people who work inside of it and the processes and the systems that they follow, genius, then I add $10 million to the net worth of the person who owns it. And so one of the fastest ways to create wealth is make the thing that you have reliable, is to make it risk-free. and make sure they will last. And so even if it took you 2 years to do that, for you to get $10 million of enterprise value or net worth gain, you'd have to make $20 million of income to get to that same $10 million. But meanwhile, while you're building it, you're still also making money in this scenario, which is what we basically do for the majority of businesses that we have at acquisition.com, is that we often take businesses doing 2 million, 3, 4, 5, etc., and then take them to this side and say, hey, let me show you what it looks like at 10 with a 7x multiple. And so now you go from a $1 or $2 or $3 million net worth to a $70 million net worth. And that is how you get wealthy. This is how you get rich. Now I want to be clear, you can absolutely get to $1 million a year in profit with not a lot of people, or even just on your own, because with the increases of AI and automation and things like that, like we're going to see more big companies with fewer and fewer headcount. But until general AI comes in and just crushes everyone, people are still required to get to where you want to go. So if you want to not just make $1 million or a couple $1 million, and you want to get to 10, 20, 50, $100 million and beyond, you got to get the people side right.